our guy, Pep. What's going on, Pep?
Hey, what is up, guys? Good morning. Let's start with a little baseball here, and I got a little pep quiz for you early on this Monday morning as we roll out the weekend. So we had the Halos salvaging the final game against the Baltimore Orioles in that series to not get swept by the Baltimore Orioles. I was looking at the teams in baseball that have the biggest payrolls, the teams that spend the most money on their players. Which team do you think spends the most money on their players this season across baseball?
I mean, I'm gonna go with the easy one, I would think, but I can tell by the way you're asking, I could be wrong. I would say the Dodgers.
I mean, casual baseball fan. I always hear the Yankees. I would kind of throw that one out there too, I guess.
Great guesses, right, Pep?
Yeah, no, and they're right at the top. The Dodgers are number one at $241 million this upcoming season. But I bring up the Angels first because the Baltimore Orioles rank dead last. So the Dodgers, again, so we can compare this. $241 million for their players. The Orioles spend $37 million.
Wow.
So
Hey, some people are good shoppers.
yeah, the Dodgers spend over $200 million more than the Orioles. Yet, Baltimore, they're not one of the best teams in the league, obviously, but still competitive. I mean, they came into Anaheim and they took a couple games from the Angels. So there is a big discrepancy in baseball right now between the teams that are paying a lot and the teams that are paying very little. When I say very little, again, the Dodgers paying $200 million more for their players than the Orioles. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's
You get what you
insane.
pay. I guess you get what you pay for.
Baseball, yeah.
Yeah.
You do. And for the Dodgers, when you pay all that money, you want to see some results. And finally, if you're a Dodgers fan, you're like, yes, he's coming back. It's Cody Bellinger, man, returning to that MVP form. He had a couple of home runs and a big win against the San Diego Padres yesterday, 11-2. So again, if you're investing all that money in some star players, you want to see some numbers, you want to see some results. And for Cody Bellinger, he's finally coming around again for the Dodgers.
He has really woken up. I mean, I remember the beginning of the season. I mean, everyone was down on him. I mean, when you're not doing well in baseball and then you start trying too hard, it really goes south on you. So it's nice for him at least to get the people off his back a little bit. And if he can continue to ascend, then, I mean, this could be really good for the Dodgers.
Yeah, already a great. They were great the last couple of years, even when he was struggling. Now, if he's going to be back in that MVP form, man, that Dodger lineup is even just more brutal, man. They were hitting him like seventh in the order, man. They could put him up to third or fourth or fifth again. He's hitting that well for the Dodgers. So again, Dodgers number one in payroll. The Baltimore Orioles dead last. The Angels, if you are counting at home, they rank number 8. They spend $154 million. So.
Mm.
And the Padres are like number 6. They spend a lot too on their players. Finally, the the Padres opening the bank a little bit for their players. All right, guys, listen. Here we are we're winding up the month of April, getting closer to May. But we do have spring football for college football programs across the country. Many of them holding their annual spring football games this past Saturday, including the USC Trojans. It was our first look at new head coach Lincoln Riley, new quarterback Caleb Williams, and they had 33,000 plus people at the Coliseum to watch the spring game. Now, it might not sound like a lot when the Coliseum can hold, upwards of 100,000, but it was still the most well-attended spring football game for USC, guys, since they started counting that number.
Right. I mean, it's a big deal with Lincoln Riley kind of changing the game here a little bit. And I don't know, it's always exciting with spring games kind of because it's our first look at the teams. And I don't know what it is. It's like I can smell fresh cut grass. It's like I'm ready,
I mean, I've never heard anybody going into the spring football game talking about the USC spring game or any of that. But going into last week, I heard a couple of different people in my life talk about it. I'm like, that's weird that multiple people are talking about it. And then, the most attended they've had. So it's like the buzz for SC is growing right now for sure.
And you would think with how big it was with Pete Carroll that maybe this would have been done before, but no.
Yeah. No, exactly. So there is a buzz around USC, and I'm not Mr. Anti-USC guy, but there's a lot of football fans on social media that were saying, hey, look at, for example, Oklahoma's spring game. It was sold out. The stadium was absolutely full. And they were selling tickets. And at USC, to go to the spring game, it was absolutely free. And they could only get 33,000. And, of course, USC fans were defending themselves, saying, "Hey, you know what? There's a lot going on in LA, man. We got the beach, we got the mountains, we got Disneyland, we got all these pro teams. There's a lot going on." And someone else pointed out, "Well, they're in Norman, Oklahoma. You know how many people live in Norman, Oklahoma? Like 100. Like there's nobody there, but they still fill the stadium."
That is a good point, though. With so much going on, 30,000 in LA, that is actually a lot of people.
But I think it's just that hope that maybe SC is going to get back to those glory days of those Pete Carroll years.
Maybe.
No, and 40, I think you're exactly right. They bring in this big name head coach. They bring in his star quarterback from Oklahoma. I think USC fans are finally excited again because they want to be in that, not only the Pac-12 championship talk, but they want to be in the national title picture, man. The Pac-12 as a whole has been kind of, excluded from that national championship talk for the most part. And I think USC wants to be that team again where they got a chance to be on the national radar, where we're talking about USC in terms of getting into that national semifinal and being in the hunt for that championship.
We're going to be talking about them one way or another.
It's been a long time since those Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart days. Let's get back to those.
Long time.
And I think, again, I'm not a USC fan, but I think college football is better when USC is good, right? When they're part of the conversation.
I think they're going to be good.
I hope so. We'll find out. We'll find out soon enough. Guys, to the NBA playoffs. You remember, it wasn't too long ago when the two favorites to reach the NBA Finals, it was like the Lakers versus the Brooklyn Nets, right? Like everyone was getting ready to pencil them in. It was going to be LeBron and the Lakers against KD and Kyrie and James Harden at the time with the Brooklyn Nets. Like it was a done deal. Do you guys remember that? It wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, everyone said just write it in now. That's what we're going to be seeing at the end of the year.
Yes. We all thought it. And right now, the Nets, they've got game 4 of their series against the Boston Celtics today, but they're down 3-0. So the Lakers didn't even make the playoffs. Brooklyn's about to get bounced in the first round, so it's a far cry from what we thought might happen in the NBA this season. So they're down. And over in the Western Conference, guys, the Phoenix Suns are in a real battle right now with the New Orleans Pelicans. Their series is tied at 2 games apiece. We saw the Warriors drop one to Denver. I don't know. I got a feeling, we don't see it in the NBA too much, but I got a feeling we might have an oddball team getting to the finals.
The guard play in that game, in that Suns series, is a battle. Those 4 guys are going at it and really giving the Suns a tough time. I have to give it to them. I mean, my goodness, the Pelicans, I didn't even think about them, of course, because they're in New Orleans, but they're actually really tough.
Oh, Pelicans, yeah, looking tough. And I think even, back to the Nets thing, too, they're getting a lot of Ben Simmons hate because he was supposed to make his debut maybe tonight, game 4, facing elimination, and he's like, nah, I'm shutting it down.
And KD looks terrible.
He's looking really bad.
I've never seen him look like this. He's been pretty much a sniper and a killer. He looked awful.
And the whole Kyrie going back and forth with the fans back in, game 1 or whatever that was a while back. It's been a rough series for the Nets.
Yeah, if you're those other teams with the way it is in the NBA right now, this is your chance. Get in there, Pelicans. Get in there, Suns. This is your year because LeBron's down. Everyone else is down.
Yeah, Devin Booker, we mentioned this, Devin Booker banged up for the Phoenix Suns. Yeah, I mean, the last time, you guys are old enough to remember this, I'm thinking like the last time an 8 seed beat a 1 seed in the NBA playoffs, I think of Dikembe Mutombo, right? The Nuggets?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, against the Sonics. I was there at that game. Trust me. I remember very well. I was very depressed in 1994. It was a tough year.
So I'm saying we might have like a 7 seed or who knows, an 8 seed. Maybe it's a far stretch, but we could see some oddball team at least reach the conference finals because a lot of the teams that we expected to be good or we were expecting them to be healthy and have a full complement of players, they're not there. So we might see some teams snake through to the next round or even make it to the conference finals, which for me, as being a Sacramento Kings fan, my team stinks. I want to see some random teams get through. I'm tired of seeing the same teams in the finals.
It does make it a little more fun, for sure.
My goodness. Speaking of that time period, the mid-90s, it is just like when Jordan retired. Those 2 years, this is your chance, other teams. Yeah. Get in there. This is the same thing happening this year. I can't wait to see what happens. Pep, tell me how to get your stuff.
It is the Wild West out there right now in the NBA. You can check us out. That's Inland Sports. We got Instagram. We do Twitter. We even do Facebook still. And you can find us on the Inland Sports YouTube channel. That's Inland Sports.